Okay, so I think we can.
Okay.
Perfect. So welcome back, everyone, and yeah, welcome to today's class. Today we have our ex cohort residents, Borya, Michael, and Walt here, and they will deep dive with us into the amazing Arium spaces that they created. This one that they are now showing is our last cohort auction event. So we can wait to see what they're going to show us. And they also will talk about Blender and how to create on that tool. And yeah, I'll leave you the floor, guys. And for everything that you need during this class, I'll be here. And also, residents, please feel free to use the chat to ask any kind of question. I will mediate every uh, any kind of question or comment in the chat. So yeah, enjoy.
Hello, guys. How are you? My name is Michael. Yeah, as Matilda said, thank you, Matilda, for inviting us, by the way. Um, yeah, we're residents from the second cohort, me and Borya, and Walt was from the first cohort. And we've, me and Borya, we built this space that you can see right now for the second cohort show, and Walt built the first one, and then we actually all three of us combined to work on the Digital Roots show as well. But yeah, I heard there's a lot of questions about Arium that you guys excited because they showed a presentation of it maybe last week. So I thought it'd be a good idea to like go through a little bit of what we built, a couple of our ideas about what was happening, and maybe some problems, and then uh, Walt will go through an introduction to Blender, just so you can orientate yourself with that program, and then Boria will go through Arium, like some rudimentary things to be able to, yeah, get the basics of how to build a space in Arium. So, yeah, and Boria and Walt, feel free to uh, butt in whenever you like. I'm just going to walk around here and talk about the
Yep.
space.
And please do ask questions if you have something to ask anytime.
Yeah, be that through text or through microphone, both is completely fine. Yeah, so with this space here, basically coming to the end of the second cohort, Mical basically asked the group. They said, "Is anyone interested in coming to build the space for the show?" And anyone could do it. And then I thought to myself, like, yeah, let's go. Let's build something fun and let's see what we can do. It's pretty scary at first to pick up a new metaverse and start from scratch, but you can learn so many things along the way, I think. So the first thing was that Lisa, she's basically the product, uh, yeah, the show organizer. She made like they had a brief with Mical and then which was supposed to be South by Southwest, and we got a little bit of an idea of like the organization of where the artists would go once they submit the work, which eventually turned into this map here. You can see the poem at the end there. These are the three stages. This is the entrance and all the artist names across here. And then it was basically like a trial and error to try and get something which was interesting and functional, but also yeah, just to see where it went. And the thing is, one thing you notice is that with an Arium space, especially for the show, is that you can put a lot of elements in there, but really in the end, like it's the artwork that brings it to life. You know, especially with so many different styles of art. Yeah, so just gonna go through here. This is Borya's work here. Mine was over there, and this is yeah. So go.
I must say that one thing I like about this space is that it has all so many of those animated measures. It really brings the life there. Also
Yeah,
with the moving like the videos, and it's really
yeah.
nice.
I think that's very. I found that to be a very important thing because it's a difference between making the space feel like, yeah, just kind of a little bit dead, and then also like to feel like lived in or alive. And with the animation at the top, I actually searched in a way to the GLB files, and I found a way to because their animations based on Boids, which is like a physics structure in Blender, and I couldn't work out how to export them, and I would post a link on a way to do it, and it was basically like a lot of hacking between like deleting certain things and moving things over to eventually be able to turn a simulation into a GLB animation, which is it was really fun to be able to work out to do it. Well, it was very stressful, and then when I eventually worked it out, it was a lot of fun to use. And so these are like different. Maybe there's like 5 different things. It's like 2 or 3 fish, and then the particles are yeah, about like 3 different particle systems, just little voxels, just squares right around different colors. And it was originally the idea was that we were going to put planets there, and like the sky was going to be filled with maybe stars and planets. And I modeled some, and I just found it really boring. And I was thinking, well, these and they kind of distract from the rest of the stuff. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to put fish in the sky? And which is something.
So that was like the other choice, like either planets
Yeah.
or fish. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's planets or fish in the sky.
Yeah.
And Mical wrote something on Twitter the other day. She wrote, build first or ask first. And I built the fish and I didn't ask. And she said, well, I don't really like the fish. but then afterwards, like maybe after a couple of days, and someone commented on them, and then she got used to them, and I didn't talk about it anymore. And I just said, okay, I'm not gonna take them out. So
and now everybody loves the fish.
I was so happy when the fish got to stay, because they were something very much in tune with what we were trying to create. So basically, the thought behind this would be some kind of a metaverse, colorful neon Burning Man. In a way, that was the brief that Mical mentioned was something that she would be inspired to see created. So we went from there. And somehow the particles and the fish in the sky, they just tie it all together. And at first, when I thought that they wouldn't be a part of it, I was very sad. So I'm extremely happy whenever I see them, and the fact that they are swimming in the sky over here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the most important things is that. Sorry, my kid just came in from school. It's one of the most important things that basically. It's a metaverse. It's not the really verse, I like to call it. You don't have to have like a lot of logic with things. Like things can do what they want. If it's interesting in the space, then it's interesting. And that was one of the things with animation. And these little guys here, I thought to give a little bit of life. These are the trees we made, which were based on photographs of these other interesting constructed metal glowing trees in Burning Man. And I like them as a model, but then I thought they needed a little bit of life too, so I just rigged it, just a very simple rigging in Blender. I'm not sure if Walt wants to go into that, but if not, I can leave links to how to rig stuff in Blender as well, and just gave it a subtle animation, just not something too crazy that was too distracting, but just something which would give a little bit of motion to everything.
Can you remember how large the file sizes are, like with animations? Does it like bloat the file size?
Not so much, not as much as you think. I think that one of the biggest things, I mean, if we're going to talk about optimization. Optimization is something which is very important in a browser-based metaverse. I think animations are pretty small compared to, I think textures is the biggest one.
Yeah.
Textures and like object counts within the GLB. So if you have lots of separate objects which weren't already joined before, then that's a big problem. And polygon count. So first thing I did was make sure that my polygon count was down. All of these things here, they're like, I think they're 1,000. Well, I've lost control of everything. What's going on? They're like 1,000 by 1,000 textures. So, and not so many. It's not like PBR where I'm using like a roughness or anything like that. I think it's just emission and diffuse. But Walt can talk about the textures later on. Animation wise, yeah, if you're keeping it down to like maybe I think these are like just like 100 frames, and It's just like 2 keyframes, I think. No, 3 keyframes. So it's really not that much at all. I think all of these things were like under 1 meg, maybe about 700 KB or something. With the stage, there was this is where Garrison Fortress played his set, which was really cool. And I basically built that with 2 separate models. The model was based on the heart. What is it called? The heart bus in Burning Man, which had loads of speakers, and yeah, and then like they had DJ set, and then Mical wanted the V for vertical crypto to be up there, and to be able to watch the live streaming. So basically, I made like one model. 3 separate models, and I joined them together. Then I made a separate model of like the planes of the screens, made that a separate model afterwards, put the model of the stage in Arium, and then projected a video onto the separate 3 panels, like on a separate model. So it's not so hard to do. It was weird to work out in the first place, but it's really not that hard to do. And yeah, actually, one thing I was going to say is that if anyone's really interested, I mean, I'm here available any time anyone wants to get in contact with me or Walt or Borya, time permitting. We can always go through with certain things personally. So if you're building an exhibition and you have some trouble with something, you don't know who to go to, and maybe Dan at Arium is too busy or something, you can always pick our brains for ideas or troubleshooting, because that's one thing you do, is you find out a lot of things, what works
Yep.
and what doesn't. But yeah, I think
Absolutely.
that's the one for this. There's my one. I just thought I'd show my art at the end. um, yeah,
Subtle.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, you can just, what is it? You can go here and you can press on the, what is it? Press on the NFT, and then that comes with the link to the auction. And yeah, if you press that, it goes to auction. I'm not going to do that because then I don't know where it goes afterwards with my desktop. But yeah, so I shall stop the streaming there. If Borya, you want to show your space or the.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me see how to go about it.
Oh, so does anyone have any questions while we're waiting? Actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fun.
Oh, you closed it.
There you go. That should be the one. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Awesome.
So I'm Borya, Borya XYZ. That's what I go by, and I am one of the team that built the previous space that you saw, the vertical crypto art cohort 2 residency art space, and I absolutely can confirm anything that Michael said, and he said it so much better than I would have. In in many ways, building this space just starts by you thinking about what you or your guests or visitors want to experience. So you can actually even play with the physics of the space. So how high you can jump, how much the gravity pulls you back. So it really depends on what you wish to build. There are specific ways to do anything. It's just as Michael said. I also wish to extend an open invitation. If you wish to have some help, just ping us. We've probably so much of what you were experiencing in the beginning stages already. So we've bumped our heads when something was unclear for us, and it's a very inspiring thing to be able to create your own problems and then solve them. But with that said, I'm going to show you my space, which is called Pieces of Garbage. The idea behind it is for it to be a virtual workshop world for contemporary jewelry made from discarded materials. So far, I'm still waiting for my 3D scanner to arrive, so I haven't been able to use it per se, as you would say. But then again, I'm using this space for events. So far, we've done one event over here, and just give me a moment. This is actually, yeah, you're actually able to see everything from the stuff that I have over here, loaded over here.
So these are all the different elements that you have in the space, right?
Yeah, those are the elements that are here. You can find them on the left side of the screen. And you can already see I've actually grouped everything together. I guess this is incredibly useful because afterwards you can move everything together. So everything that's in a group you can move and reshape and resize and scale all these options that you have over here. You can do them by a group, which becomes really great when you have a bunch of stuff in one space. And basically, the idea behind my space is to just be endless space for creation. The way I've built these sculptures that you see is actually 3D scanning myself and um, multi-exposing the 3D scans, so putting them all together one over the other, just so that it can create much more depth. And all of these statues, even though they seem huge at this time, they are huge, especially that other one. The reason why it's disappearing is because it's very, very, very far away. That's a fun image. Um, but they are huge as a size, and as a model size, they are huge, but the file size is not more than 400 kilobytes, which is great. And the reason why I've been able to keep them such a low file size is because they actually have no textures, no materials, and absolutely no colors and nothing on them. And the way that I've managed to color them in blue and white and purplish is by using directional lights. So let's see where the lights are. There is this one, which is white global light. And if I switch it off, let's see what happens. You see that the white is gone. So this is a very, very, very creative way of just using the the colorful lights in your space so that if you wish to place more models, you're able to do that without actually using materials and textures. But that's only if it works in your specific case. In my case, it works, and I'm really happy on how it works. But then again, in a specific other space, it might not work. So that's another really, really cool portion of this is just the entire world building process is spectacular because you really get to build something that you wish. And then you go into a portal. That's another thing with the portals. I am crazy in love with the portals. You can create an entire movie or entire experiential guide inside your space. So for this one that I've built, you have to find the secret flowers. And now, since I'm going to show you where they are, they're not going to be secret to you, but still. You find the secret flowers, you pass to them, and you find other secret spaces. This is inside the first lady that you saw, the big one. I call her Eva because she's the first statue I created using this method. And there is the other flower. You have to wait for it to open. And then here, what you can see over here is actually the insides of these huge lady over here. I told you they're huge and they have worlds inside them. So yeah, mainly what I like to create in Arium is just to play around with what's possible And since a lot of it is possible, is going to be something that I very much am going to wish you to give time and effort to. And you can also place videos, live streams. This was a live stream by Eclectic Method that I'm keeping here just because it's creating a really cool atmosphere. And I wanted to also show you this lady over there. She is pretty much the exact same as Eva, the first one. However, what I've done here is I'm projecting a video on top of her. Let me show you what I mean about it. Yeah. Well, at some point, grouping is not only for transforming stuff, it's just so that you can find where anything is because it's just a lot. So, as you can see, this is the actual art piece that I'm projecting on top of her. The way to do it is just import the video and let me see what it was. Play geometry. So, yeah, that's the geometry. You can put any kind of geometry. Tried with several different kinds until I was satisfied with how it looks. You you input the video and then you scroll down to here, settings, play geometry, and then you're able to import any kind of GLB file on which the video is going to be projected on. And it's what Dan and Aiden were telling me when they saw me use it this way was, oh, okay, that's some kind of a metaverse projection mapping in a way that they didn't think that it would be used that way, and they were very happy. That's another thing that you're going to notice. With Arium spaces, it's that you can find things and you can find ways to do things that nobody else thought about before just because they didn't have to solve a problem with which you are meddling with. So just be very, very brave and unafraid. You can always undo anything. There's the undo button over here at the left. And with that said, I'm just going to invite Walt to show his space now, if he wants to.
Yeah, I could show it quickly. How much time do we still have, by the way? I haven't.
Um, we're on until for basically another hour. So if you want to show your space
Yeah,
and then go directly into the Blender introduction, that'll be great. I think.
yeah, sure. Um,
Does anyone have any questions? Actually, since we're
Oh, yes.
Hey,
hey Dylan.
hey, sorry, I didn't know if you could hear me or not. I did just have one question. Hi there, I'm Dylan. Yeah, totally mind blowing seeing this stuff. I just wondered, sort of the GLB files that you're working with. Do they have sort of any kind of animation or motion baked into them, or are they essentially kind of still models that you're importing into the space?
For me, both. Um,
Right.
yeah. So I don't know if don't necessarily have to bake it in. If you have something rigged, then you don't have to bake it. If it's a simulation, then you have to bake it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and you can turn them on and off inside of Arium as well. So before I think they started off not being automatically animated, and you had to turn it on.
Yeah.
But now it's automatically animated, and you can just turn it off when you like. I guess that
Okay.
saves resources. But yeah, it's really simple. With something like the trees before, with the where they're just swaying, I just made a
Yeah.
simple rig. Um, yeah, like save the animation. Well, just regular in Blender, and then when I went to
Yeah.
export it as a GLB file, I just ticked the box with animation. Yeah, so it wasn't, you didn't have to bake anything. It was very, very simple. So if you have someone walking around like in a rig or something, or if you're using
Yeah.
one of these I don't know what the name is, like where you can make them dance and everything like that. But if you have that, then it will just very easily just click that box. I think it's automatically clicked even in exporting, and it's just there. It's super simple.
Amazing. All right. Thanks, Michael. Thanks.
Can you see this? Did I share my screen correctly?
Yes, I see a big. Is that a Norwegian flag and trees?
Yep.
Oh, it looks great. Well,
All right. Yeah, this is the like a space I've been building for a while now with Stina for the Nordic crypto community that we've been building. It's still work in progress. It's almost done, but there's still some stuff to fix, and the artworks haven't been placed yet. I think we plan to place them around the flags for each country. So this it'd be good to show this scene because all of these were, I guess, stylistically like a bit different. This kind of like this low poly cartoony style.
I love it.
Yeah, this actually from like the modeling perspective, this been really like relaxing because there's no like texturing. Of course, you could do also like add detail with textures, but I just kept them just color.
and is that all one model exported out from Blender, or is it different components?
It is just one model, yeah. Which I don't know if it's a good idea or bad. I did
So
actually. I actually used like the compression stuff on the export, and I noticed that there's some of these gaps happening here. So it did make the file size like a lot smaller. I think it was like 20 megabytes before, and then after the compression it was something like 3 megabytes. But it seems that it causes some kind of issues also. So I need to fix that.
It works very well, though. I was in the space a little before, and it really works very well. I think that the fact that it's one model makes it very manageable on the system.
Yeah, for the exporting, yeah, it's really easy that way because I can just like I don't have to move hundreds of different meshes around.
It's so expansive. It's amazing.
Yeah. I
But
love the clouds.
Yeah, I was wondering actually now that you were talking about the animation, like should I animate them like go around, move around there? It would be nice because there's like nothing moving, so I think I should add something moving here.
What's the purpose of the space?
We're gonna have like a art exhibition here for the community. So
Cool.
we're building that probably next month, early next month or something. But yeah,
What you're mentioning, by the way, reminds me to remind everyone that the Arium spaces are like a multiverse and a multiplayer mode of experience, and it's so interesting to be able to look at it by yourself or to experience it by yourself, but it's much more satisfying if there are your friends all around, and that actually you can project your voice inside the space. You can speak to others. If you go near them, you can hear them. If you go farther away, you can't. It's very realistic and the sound level ways, and I enjoy it so much. And I would highly suggest that you go to any kind of space that you find that is that has an event happening at that point, so you can experience that specific multi-human option of it, because it's quite different and very satisfying.
Yeah, so if you would go to this address right now, you would just appear here, and we could see each other. And also, like we were talking about, oh, that just happened. Yeah, about the portals, like that's really important because we are talking about metaverse. To have some kind of like creative stuff with the portals, like you can create portals to go to another Arium space, or you can have a portal that like just moves you inside the Arium space to another place.
It's amazing space. Does anyone have any questions or anything they would like Walt to talk about the space he's building?
Hey guys, thank you very much for this presentation. I'm really stunned by all this. I have this question. I use Cinema 4D, and right now I don't have really that much knowledge of Blender, but basic knowledge. But sometimes I make 3D models, especially low polys, on Cinema 4D. I want to know. Right now, I don't see any options here in Cinema to actually export it into GLB files. What's your suggestion to actually do from Cinema to in order to actually bring it to Blender and then export it in GLB files to use it in the Arium? We appreciate your advice on this.
I think I saw something because I never used Cinema 4 before F40. I
I
saw
think I
someone's
can
writing
answer
about.
that.
You can answer it, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, one of the tutorial videos that Dan recorded, one of the first ones, shows you how to export from a Rhino 3D to Blender. So Blender is kind of an aggregate for everything that you create outside of it. And the way that Dan showed it was that he built his model in Rhino 3D, then he saved it in a file that's openable in like that's executable in Blender, and then from Blender you can just export it to a GLB file. Mainly since I had no idea how to work with Blender, um, the other guys can attest to that, but I was a complete beginner, and the only reason why I would use Blender was so that I can transfer my OBJ files, OBJ G Juliet, yeah, OBJ files to GLB files, and it's really as much as you wish to participate in the Blender environment. I get that it's a very ubiquitous thing, and that you can find a lot of support for it, and that it's a great 3D building tool. But if you build on another tool, Blender is great in a way that it can bring in different file formats and to export in GLB. So even if that's the only reason why you use it, that's also okay, I think.
Yeah,
Okay, so that OBJ is the way to go.
Yeah, or FBX that can also be exported to Blender.
Right.
I would imagine there's some kind of way to also maybe there's some kind of plugins or something can be.
But with FBX, I don't think it carries like things like animations, right? I think the OBJ does.
Sorry, what?
Doesn't like the OBJ carry the information for things like animation and but the
I don't think so. I think OBJ is still just a static mesh. You can just transfer animations with FBX, I suppose.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Getting mixed up the wrong way around. Sorry.
Any other questions?
Wow, Walt, I love this space.
Thank you.
Would anyone like a link to actually download Blender if you haven't already downloaded it?
It's free.
Oh, by the way, in your residency chat, there should be a tiny PDF file that I made with all the links that we're going to be using here. And there is also a direct link to download Blender, so you can use that.
I guess we can jump already to the Blender side.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Let's do this. So yeah, this is how it looks like when you open Blender. I thought it would be cool to just like make something and then export it into Arium and see how the process works. I could do like a really quick rundown on like of the user interface of Blender and where everything is. But I don't think we should maybe go through too much into the details of the modeling side. So we can cover everything. Up here you can have you can find the different like modes like layout, modeling, sculpting, UV editing, rendering, so forth. Left side there's some tools for the modeling. And on layout there's the animation view, and you can change this also. Like if I want to have like the 3D viewport here, I can do that from this icon. On the right side there's the what is it called, hierarchy, where you can select your objects, and under it there's this which you will probably use quite a lot, like the different rendering settings, the world settings, object settings. And for example, if I select this object, there's the cube settings for the cube, and if I select the camera, then there's settings for the camera, settings for textures, things like that. All right, and here top here you can change the rendering modes, like if I want to model in wireframe, or if I want to see the final render. And from the render properties, you can change the render engine. Now that I'm gonna at least try to show you how to bake the textures onto the 3D model. You have to use the cycles render engine for that, for the baking. Maybe like I'll probably do something like a super simple, some kind of gallery space. Shift A opens a menu where you can add new meshes. Let's add a plane.
Can I interrupt you there quickly, Walt?
Yeah, sure.
Do you have because you can put loads of different plugins, right? Do you have the plugin for auto mirror?
No.
Okay. Well, if you go into edit and preferences, and I think if you type in M or mirror, you should see auto mirror pop up.
Ooh.
And this means that like if you make any kind of object, you can go into the right side panel, and you can actually, like, you know, where it says like actually I should be streaming to show you. But it's one of the pop-ups from, you know, the right side. When you press N, you can press auto mirror, and it will automatically mirror your object, so that whatever you make, you can have it symmetrical.
Okay.
Yeah, instead of going through all the steps. I just thought it's a very simple, easy way to start off with, if you're making like buildings or anything that has like or galleries, anything that has some sort of symmetry to it.
Yeah, that's good. I haven't used this, but actually this was good to show this, because you can find the add-ons from here, or you can download from some websites. Like, it's good to use these like free add-ons. One that I was just looking was the Ant Landscape. So if you're doing some kind of like a outdoors scene, you you can instead use this one. So now I have it enabled. I can just go here and add landscape. And if I press F9, I should have the settings.
Instant metaverse land,
Yep,
right?
there you go. And you can change it then. All kinds of things. Yeah. If you need like a terrain for your metaverse, it's probably good starting point.
Yeah, there's so in the preferences, there are so many amazing add-ons free that they don't enable them when you actually download it and you start it up, and you have to like they're disabled basically, but they can do so many amazing things. And yeah, like that one is good, and also Node Wrangler is also very good. You can have things like saplings where you can make like different types of trees and also different types of objects. Is very useful. Jules, do you have Node Wrangler enabled?
Sorry, did you ask?
Do you use Node Wrangler?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't really use any like the plugins that much. I have some for the UV editing, I think, and some other ones, but I don't use plugins that often. All right, so let's add some kind of like fancy lighting here. So I'm gonna select this light. Let's do sun. Let's put this on. Let's lower it 100. Why is the bright 5? Okay. Then let's add where is it? Light. Just to show. Let's do green or some kind of what if teal.
So what you're doing here, you're putting light into the scene, and then what are you going to do with that? You're going to bake everything. So that
Yeah, I'm gonna bake this lighting into the mesh themselves. So.
And if anyone doesn't know what that means, basically, usually like with objects like PBR objects, they are reactive to different environments. So if that didn't have any baking in it, and you put it out into Arium, for instance, then it would just be those shapes, and there would be no extra colors or anything. But if you bake the lighting, then when you put it into Arium, like that exact situation will still be used, no matter what the lighting situation is in the game engine.
Yes. And for the baking to work, you have to unwrap the model, like so everything has like unique UV space. Actually, I think we need to do some kind of unwrapping here. Oh, let's see. Let's do.
You can also do smart, right?
Yeah. Did you have a question?
You can also do keyfigure. Sorry.
I'm wondering how much of the building that you three have done was inside of Arium versus inside of Blender. Like, would you make the whole completely finished in Blender and then just import it, or would it be kind of both? If that makes sense.
It's a great question, and I would say both. For Walt, with the one he was showing you before, is Nordic space. It was very much everything was made in Blender, right? That you build all of the whole scenery and everything, and just export it as one model. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And for me, with a lot of the work that I did on the first stream that we showed for the second cohort show, that was mostly modular, and that was mostly like me building like small things and then bring them in there. So it was like more organic in Arium. So I'll sit in the space, I spend a lot of time there, and then I'll go build something like a small one model and then put it into Arium and have a look. And then it slowly built up over time out of just different experiments. So I didn't really have like a direct plan, and like it wasn't really that I had to make a massive plan of action to be able to build it there. You can do that, but you can also kind of build organically in Arium as well.
Absolutely, I want to join in on that because when I started building on Arium, I had literally never touched Blender before. So as I mentioned, I just used it to convert to GLB files. There's probably an easier way to do it, but that's what I knew at the time. And everything I brought in my Arium space was subject to deep change afterwards. The shape of it, the colors via the lights that I mentioned before. And I can even show you the different stages through which the space has gone. So basically, the spaces can be categorized in that regard in two ways. It's either a space that you create and is finished. So the one that we did for the digital roots that we mentioned before, I think, and also the VCA residency auction event. That space is also pretty much done. There's not going to be anything done to it next. But so for Walt's space and my pieces of garbage, what's important about them is that they are actually in event spaces, so they will have an ongoing dialogue between the people who will be using the space and the builders of the space, so that it can be changed in a way that covers the necessary purpose for the specific event. So yeah, is the space that you're going to be building with a deadline, and afterwards you don't touch it? It's like in one of those reality shows, hands up, and don't touch it anymore. Or is it something that you're going to use continuously? I guess this is something that you should ask yourselves whenever creating one.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just thanking for answering the question. One follow-up question: do you know if there is performance, if there is one that is better with or that it just depends on your file sizes more than whether it was fully built in Blender or built in patches in Arium?
I can comment on that. So if you're bringing a bunch of models into Arium that are like the same one, then that can be slower because it's going to be tons of draw calls. So maybe if you have a bunch of models that you want to bring in, you might want to merge them into a single object within Blender, because then when it's drawn in Arium, it's a single draw call. So if you have like multiple models, it's going to be a draw call for each one and like a draw call for each object within it. But if you have if you have like a single object that everything's merged into, then in theory that's less draw calls. I don't know if that makes sense.
In a way, there actually you can do things like you can actually build an Arium, and then you can take a like I do a lot of like little hacks with things, and you can take a screenshot from above, see where all the things you placed are, then make that an image in drag that image into Blender, and then you can replace everything in Blender, make a joined object there, and then import that over the original ones and get rid of those. It's a kind of a hacky way, but it's a way to make something that you can build organically, and then you can kind of replace it with something a little bit more resource light. I did that with the stage actually on the residency too. How are we doing with the baking there, Walt?
It's going slow, but it's going forward. I think it's because I added the environment map. Like you can add like HDR like lighting in here. I think that adds to the baking. Yeah, it shouldn't take that long. But basically, like when you have your model and you have have it unwrapped, then you create a texture. It doesn't have to be called bake, but you select your mesh in the viewport and then the texture, and then from the render settings, there's the bake view here, where you can select your baking options. You can bake different things also. Just like, wait a minute, did Blender just crash? Oh no.
Oh, okay. Here's another lesson for you. Yeah. Always remember to save your progress.
Of course I didn't.
Seriously.
No.
Oh dear.
Oh man.
You know, auto
Recover
save.
last session.
Mm.
Let's see
There you go.
if it works. What? This
Oh,
wasn't my last session.
well, that's just very interesting to see what you build in
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that's actually a really cool view. I don't know if you meant to show us or if it's a secret, but it's really cool to see the world that we just saw in an Arium space and the way that it looks in Blender. So how you've been building it.
Yeah, this is how it looks. Basically, it has the one mesh, everything here. I think that's, what's that one?
Wow. So you mean that
And
that
this
one
is the
mesh,
collision.
all the
Yeah, so that would be invisible.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The gray thing would be invisible. It's just a collision, or is that?
Yeah, that's the collision. So the player can't like go outside from the area.
Okay, so the sandbox collision.
How do you make it invisible? This might be a very basic question, but
You can add like this special, where is it? Here. You go here, object data properties, and down here, custom properties. And here you can add custom properties to your mesh. And I added the collidable and invisible.
awesome.
So that means it's in the world, but you can't see it, but you can collide with it.
And so you type those out. You press new and then type them out.
Yeah, you can just like add new. Then you go to here, property name, blah blah.
And then Arium reads those as instructions, basically.
Yeah. Then when you export, you can select your mesh. You go file, export GLB, and then from here you can include custom properties. And you can also add actually import to your add to your export like cameras and also I think it was point lights. So if you want to also export those should also work.
Okay, so we lost that model with the baking.
Yeah, let's redo something quickly.
Do you have any other materials? Maybe you could just add to it instead. Or go ahead if you want to do the baking again. Like,
yeah, I'll do it quickly. I just not
HDR.
gonna add the HDR texture because that'll take a while.
And save your progress before you bake. Remember.
Let's see. So this is going to be a point light. Let's do green.
And so, what would be one advantage of baking the light into a model before you go into Arium?
I mean, basically, you can make it look really, really good, like this. You can have like a realistic lighting.
Also performance-wise, if Arium has to calculate the shadows every frame, it's going to be slower.
Yeah.
So it can actually help with performance to bake lighting. Also, yeah, it's going to look better if it's baked. But the downside is you can't have a dynamic lighting inside of Arium. You can't like move a light around and the shadow's going to change because the lighting's baked in. Yeah.
Thank you, Dan. That was basically what I was getting at. Was that it's really it's really important to kind of keep an eye on like performance when you're working inside Arium, inside any browser-based metaverse, really. And one of the things is choosing between dynamic lighting and maybe like bake lighting is like can be quite a big decision to make. And a lot of people really like the whole PBR dynamic lighting situation, but it can also like, did you say before, Dan, that it's maybe like 3 lights is a limit? 3 dynamic lights starts to
I mean, yeah, even like you only want to have one light with shadows, even more than one. We're eventually going to have like an option to actually bake it inside of Arium. We just haven't built that yet.
Oh, brilliant.
There's like a way to do it where basically you only recalculate the lighting if an object moves or if like the light moves.
Oh, that's great.
But we don't have that built yet. But that's like we're thinking about that, yeah. But for now, yeah, it calculates basically the shadow every frame. So you want to have like one light with a shadow at the most, maybe 2.
Yeah, that was a decision I made pretty early on with the second exhibition. I just decided that all the lighting is going to come from like the objects themselves. I use a lot of emission stuff, literally, because I thought, well, if you have everything lit up everywhere, then it's just going to make everything like everything's going to be calculating, as you said, every new shadow, every new light. And I thought the best thing to do for that is just not have that for anything. And if we're going to use lights, then use it to actually light up some sculptures instead, to focus on the artwork.
I can attest to the fact that once you chose to do that instead of us using the lights in Arium, the lights, you were building models of lights, which when they emitted light by themselves, it kind of just made it a touch of realism inside a completely made up space. And they do have a bloom, they do have a light that's emitting from them, which looks very, very cool and very manageable.
You can add bloom now, right, as well?
Yeah.
That's a function. Yeah, it's a big decision though, like, because also with that space, then it ended up being a problem when we were trying to directional light things, and I was just complaining on all the time. I was saying, no, don't point the light there because it shows up that this thing is a trick. That dark space is supposed to be the floor; it's not supposed to be shown. Yeah, so you can have it can bring new problems, but yeah, it's an interesting way to think about. I think it's definitely worth to think about like all the different options you have to use in that situation, because you can get bogged down of thinking you can only go one way when you can actually go like multiple ways in Arium. It's a super flexible program, but the most important thing I would say is like always think about resources. How are we doing, Walt? Did we bake it? And you put it in? You baked it and you already imported it?
Oh, I forgot. I forgot to add the color to the. Yeah, that's why I didn't add it in this page. So you can see it's just like colorless. So I forgot to attach the color node to the base color to the actual shader. No. Let's re-export.
Does Borya have editing rights to your space that you're importing that to?
I don't think I do, but no worries. Let's see how.
Because I was thinking it'd be a nice way to cross over to talking about Arium inside the space.
There you go.
Well, hey.
Ooh.
Now it's here in the space. Actually, like this bake. So
that looks great. That looks really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was just quick quick test, but yeah, you can imagine you can do really nice like baked lights, especially like on indoor like scenes. You can do really nice baking. Actually, I can show you maybe like what I was planning to have like the Nordic crypto community space to look like. I had some issues with the baking because there's so many like objects, but I need to figure that out. But so basically it should look like this.
Oh wow.
If you would bake all the lighting into
So you get
the
all the shadows of the clouds. And
yeah.
everything. Then I guess you couldn't have it animated because you
No.
these clouds just moving around and the shadows staying exactly where they are. But it looks great though.
Is there any questions right now? Anything else you want me to show or at least try?
Hey guys, just to make this clear for myself, what you did here was actually to make a base scene, base 3D scene in Blender with all the lighting, and you actually baked all the lighting, and then you used this scene as a base scene to put your interactivity elements in Arium. Am I right? Is this the workflow that you used for this scene?
Yes. Yeah. That's basically it. So yeah, go ahead.
Just wanted to know, for example, you actually created the water in that 3D scene too. But when you go to Arium, do you use any specific thing to actually define that area as the water, or is that part of the fixed scene that you have created?
So I can show you the hierarchy here. So basically, this is the model that I imported. If that's what you're asking, like you can have like you can add like other elements here in Arium, for example, models, text, images, so on. We can add like water here. It should pop up. Why it didn't? Maybe it's too small. There you go.
You can also add everything by pressing the plus in the top left.
Oh,
And yeah, over there. That's probably an easier way for most people. But you can't add water there. And the reason why is because we don't want people adding a bunch of waters, because each water element significantly slows down people's computers because it's rendering the scene at another time. So be very careful with adding water. That's why we don't make it easily addable from there. You need a better solution, like you can only add one, but yeah.
Oh, this is nice.
I did actually have a question about the water in Borya's space earlier on. Was that all created with noise, just kind of within Arium?
So that's just basically a wrapper around the 3JS Water 2
Okay.
example code. So which is basically, it uses a noise image and I think moves it around. But you could, if you want to dig into the 3JS Water 2 example code, then you'll actually understand how it's working. And this is just passing some parameters to that thing, and we hard code like a noise image. But if someone wanted to like upload a custom noise image, we could support that.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed already. Yeah, the collision stuff. What else? Any ideas? What?
Maybe Borya would like to do a stream here, like where she can talk about like maybe uploading an NFT onto the space, or exactly what you're thinking about there, Borya. Are you there?
Yep. If you wish, what we can do is, Walt, you can send over that file that you just created. I can add it to a space and see where we go from there, so that we can use the thing that this model specific.
All right.
Have you also tried plugging that into emissions instead of you said, Walt?
Any shift? Did you?
Yeah, because I was wondering if there's no light in that space, then you can't actually see the model at all, right? It still needs to be lit. That's what I mean. Or am I wrong there?
I believe you can use the ambient lighting for that. Yeah.
Actually, I think to your point, I do believe that when 3JS imports GLB files that are supposed to have baked lighting into it, it doesn't actually recognize them as what's called an unlit material, which means that the lighting wouldn't affect it. So I think the lighting does affect the models even that have baked lighting on them.
Yeah.
I think we need a way to. Aiden, who's not here, has a lot of ideas about how nice ways to do bake lighting. So he'll have better thoughts about that. But I think that's a current limitation. So I think you still have to add lighting, but ideally we could make it so that you could have it be treated as an unlit material.
Yeah, you could probably see that when I slide the environment or the ambient lighting down, like everything went black in the scene.
Yeah, that's actually one of the reasons why I mentioned it, because I saw that you couldn't see it anymore once the light had been turned off, and I was wondering what it would actually look like if you had plugged it into emission, and to see what it looked like in that space with the lights off.
Yeah, an emissive material will be fully lit, so you can choose. I think they even have emissive materials in some of the other spaces they built where there's like white edges. Those have emission, like a white emission that's fully lit.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with emissions. I actually started to make a lot of my thing afterwards using emissions after I was working on the space for VCA. It's just so much fun, and it really gives like good atmosphere to spaces, I think.
And just another thing, if you use, like I think I showed in the other lecture, like the video mapped 3D object, video textures are not affected by lighting. So that could be, you could try something interesting with like a video that's animating on a surface.
Yeah, like, and you can do so many things. I don't know if I really went into it. You can do so many things with video, and like if you just mess around with the UV mapping of an object and make some interesting like small loops and videos with colors, you can really do some crazy, interesting things with it in Arium.
You should show the arch that you made for the last show, because that was amazing.
Yeah. I have to.
Could you pull that up? That was so cool.
Yeah, I can have a look. If Borya's live, then at least we won't have any dead space. Then cool, I'll have a look, and maybe I can fin it in the end.
Well, yeah, Borya did that too. Yeah, Borya did a really cool one too in her new space.
Yeah, I saw it. It's really beautiful. The way that it looks really organic. The way it's moving between the different.
It's a lot of fun. It's ever since I first got into my first Arium space, it's just so unbelievably cool to meddle with the world. So I just look around so much. Sometimes think that it's too much, but there's no such thing when you like something. So guys, I will create an empty space here. This is the absolute base model of creating a space. You can see, you probably already saw that there is much more to be created. So yeah, starting with an empty space. Cool. Can you see it now? It might be loading a little slower. for me, maybe.
I love it that the empty space is actually a space.
I know, it's so nice.
It's a nice touch.
So we add a model here, just anywhere at this time. It's a little farther up, so let's take it a little down. And yeah. So what do you guys want to do with it?
I would like it if you dropped a NFT that you can sell on the wall or something or next to it.
I have an idea. Let me see if I can make it work. This button on the bottom on the left, it opens the extra editor. So there are some extra settings over here, but mostly you can upload from here. Over here on the side are the parameters of anything that you're creating. Everything has different parameters, but mainly sometimes they are similar.
You can also drag from straight from
Yeah, absolutely.
the plus menu. Oh, nice. So that apparently automatically now aligns it. Like if you add like NFT on the wall or the collision.
Yeah, if there is a space, if there is some kind of a wall behind it, it's going to stick to it first. If there is nothing over here, it's just going to stay in the space in front of you.
That's awesome. How does it work with rounded surfaces?
It just tries to find the nearest intersection from the back of the wall, and if so, it'll like find the normal off of whatever surface it hits first.
Okay.
So it can be unpredictable.
I was going to mention we were talking a lot about like functionality. You can actually see the FPFs, right? You can see the frames per second and how heavy everything is. Just by what is it? Is it Control I for information?
Yes, Control I.
And then you can basically see how many frames per second everything is in. And you were saying that the best is kind of like 60, and then like you don't want to really go anywhere like under 24 at the maximum limit.
Yeah, I think generally 30 is a good one, but it's really hard. It's a really hard art because everyone has a slower. Some people have slower computers, so it's always really tricky. There's no easy way to do it except I guess like usually the biggest thing that slows down is if someone has a really high poly count collision object. That's like the biggest offender of performance problems often.
Yeah, because it's calculating every single like vertice that has to be in collision with, right?
It's a lot of meshes. It's done on the CPU, not on the GPU, so it has to run through them all.
Ouch.
So who wants to drop an NFT that they like in the chat and we can load it?
Someone put your hand up quickly.
Who wants to shield?
Yeah, this is a shield moment. You didn't expect it, but it's a shield moment. Anything in the chat? No. Okay.
Bora, if you want to share with a collaborator, you would click share at the bottom. And then you can click share down there. And then you can type the email. Like,
Cool.
I guess that user interface could be better. That's good feedback.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a
Thank
link here, Borya, in the Residency 3 cohort, and I'll delete it afterwards.
Okay.
How would you need it to be shared with you? As a just a
just put the
link,
link
like
in
a tier link or something? Yeah,
Yeah,
cool,
just
cool.
drop one in
I'll
the
send these.
If you want to invite a collaborator, you have to. So if you click the share, okay, this interface, click share, Borya again. And then if you actually type in the email, see like there's like can edit. Okay, then you type in an email of the person you want to invite. Okay, that's really confusing. I see the issue there. So if you click on email, where it says email there in the top left, under invite collaborators, yeah, so you type in the person's email there.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the email to
Okay. Sorry.
show up.
Sorry, I thought it was like really confusing. But basically, you have
No,
to invite them like that.
it's actually really cool. I'm really happy that this got added in because before we had to write to you to help us share rights, and this is a great improvement. It's amazing. I already know about the group of people who are building a space for themselves, and they have shared their rights among each other, and it's really cool for them because the next day when they wake up and when they go into the space, somebody else already had something added in there, so it's a surprise. So thanks for adding this.
Oh, that's great to hear. I mean, we want that kind of use. We want people to be working on space together. So that's really nice to hear that they figured that out. Eventually, what we want to do is be so that you could see like the history of who did, of like you could see like a revision history, and you could see who did what, and then maybe you could like fork off of a revision, kind of like how you do with Git code. So that's like one thing that would be cool in the future.
Oh wow, that's a really cool idea. Hey Borya, Dylan put a link to one of his NFTs. Can you use that in the Residency 3 chat?
On it.
Cool.
So the first one that you're going to see is the NFT, and we already added one of those over here, but let's see what happens. So we do have a Tezos option here, which is what this base is living in. And to be honest, I usually prefer to use the manual entry. I can add a lot more information. It just feels cool. Oh my God.
Hey, is it possible that I send you a video link, NFT video, so we check to see how video works here in this space? Because for the auction, I'm going to make a short film. I want to see how this sounds and presentation of the video works. I really appreciate if it's possible.
Absolutely, you can
Yeah,
add
sure.
videos.
Thank you. I will share it in the third core channel.
So we're building the Residency 3 show right now, aren't we?
Okay, so we have this one here, and was it intentional? Just let me know. Was it intentional that it also has blue on it? I already put blue light in here, and then the piece is blue. Was this intentional, or is it just one of those peculiar coincidences?
It was just the first one I grabbed from my tier page, actually. and most of them are all in black and white. So yeah, a happy accident.
So yeah, and now that it's loaded over here, you can click on it. You see it over here. There's a lot more information that you can add if you wish, and then there you go. You go
It's
into the
super
link,
smooth now. It's really cool, huh? The way that works.
and it kind of looks really dope over here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks great. One man show there.
Thanks, everyone.
But this is how intuitive and simple it is. It's once you get used to it, it's really really powerful tool, and you can do so many things with it. As you can see with the actual the work of art itself, it has its own frame. You can do different frames, right? And also like backgrounds. So at first when we were making stuff, we thought, well, we need to build these kind of uh, these these squares to put the work on, and then actually it can be a lot better to actually put the work freestanding by itself in some cases. What is Bori up to?
Yeah, that's like a visual representation what happens when you start building a space. Then you can see that, oh, wait, let's see what happens if I do this now. And yeah, and then 8 hours later, you still feel cool about it. So I don't know, maybe that's just me.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, you're getting messages from Boria saying, "Oh, I just made something new in the space."
That was for the residency auction space. It was very hectic. There was a lot that all of us needed to learn how to make and how to do and how to achieve. But then again, it worked so perfectly well, and I'm so happy every time I go into the space.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is actually like going to visit the space, like to have a look and to see if I want to move something around, and then bumping into Boria there 2 o'clock in the morning, and maybe Lisa as well, and the last one Walt, and so you can just like, and also Mical a few times, and you can just all be there and just like randomly have like this social moment together inside building, just as if you would with a gallery, a real gallery space, or before a show or something, and I can't really explain how much of a great energy that is. It's a new energy, and yeah, it's lots of fun to bump into people in the middle of making the show.
Can you, Borya, try to add the video? Um,
Yep.
One thing also that we could maybe show is the how to add the teleports or the portals.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
So I just want to say now that it's actually coming up to 5 minutes left of the official lesson. We can carry on until we're done, but if anyone needs to go there, feel free to go when they. Well, it's not a rude thing, right?
Or if you have any last minute questions, please shoot.
Oh yeah, like it's great to give people the chance to talk. Like we can, if you want to keep on asking questions, then we'll be here for a little while longer for sure. And while Bori is building, does anyone have any questions?
And by the way, like if you start using Blender and have any questions at any time, please just reach me out on Discord or Twitter or something. If you have anything to ask, and I'll try to help.
I know for sure that there will be a lot of questions when we build the third cohort action space, Arium space. So yeah, just wait a couple of weeks and the questions will start arriving, you know.
Awesome.
And
Oh, I
that's
like
actually,
this.
it looks really cool actually. There's one thing I actually want to say is that yeah, it can be pretty intimidating to go into an empty space and think to yourself like, what are we gonna do? You know, just so you know, like I guess Mical will have like a theme that she wants to um, start for the show. Lisa, I don't know if you've been introduced to her yet, but she'll probably be the project manager, and so she'll always be available to be in contact with in terms of yeah, organizing the whole show, and she's very good at like restructuring the shape of the exhibition and things like that, and she's very good at the organizational side of things. So don't feel that you too much pressure to that you have to do too much. And if you want to contribute something and you're not too sure what you want to contribute, you know, just dive in and just try things out, you know, because there's no like base limit of something. Like everyone's useful in a space, and it's a perfect time to actually start to learn something. And one of the things when I was in the course, I really wanted to make sure that I push myself as much as possible. And from the beginning of starting to build in the show to the end, I learned so much. Speaking with Dan from Arium, who's here, speaking with Nicole, speaking with Lisa, and speaking with the people I was working with at the same time, it's a really, really good chance. Like it's at the end of the residency, but it can be a very intense period. I was doing it over Christmas, and it was just like, yeah, just getting involved, and it just felt like a wonderful learning experience and a way to uh, advance your creativity and to express something. How you doing there, Borya?
Well,
I'm
I'm
starting to see the weird mind inside your
You,
weird mind.
you made it the ground, and
yeah, now I'm
so it,
there. I
I see you
went up.
can walk all over it.
Yep.
Oh,
You just
brilliant.
walk on all surfaces if you make them walkable. Okay, okay. So yeah, that's how portals move. Basically, you find where you want to be, and in that case, it was. Oh, can I walk on this?
I think
I
it's
can
too
jump
steep.
on this.
What? Oh man.
Something new out here. So you made two portals and you were walking between them, and you made
Oh, and
all of the geometry of floor
yeah.
that we did.
But then again, for some reason, I'm able to walk into the big cube. We can place an NFT over here if you wish.
But
And
did
then
that have collision? That
I
cube?
don't know
I
why
think I think you just bugged inside of there. I think the first thing you do is try and break whatever you're using.
Yeah.
Try and break it. Try and break it.
yeah. But yeah, and you can also hide the portal, of course. You can make it invisible. So imagine this the surprise of somebody. Oh, wait, what happened?
It's a good
At the
idea
same
to
time, go on, sorry.
yeah, it's a good idea to like if you're building the space, like to try out something new, something that's you haven't seen before, or something that you think it would be really fun. Something out of the box.
Yeah, for sure. And with the portals, making them invisible, you can also make a proxy model so that
Oh yeah.
the model could say something like portal on it. It could be like some sort of visual representation of a portal. It could be an image of the place you're going to, and that would be without collision. And then you just walk towards that, and then when you're walking into that image or that model, then you end up in the other space. That's a like you can have like the trick portals like which Borea has, where you can't see anything, but it's also good to be able to explain where you're actually going to go.
So I just found one model here. I don't know. It was the easiest to find. Let's see if it's going
Where
to
did it go?
show up. Whoa! Wait, what? That's not the model I wanted.
What is that?
It's a hand without
It's
any
hand.
It's
material.
a huge hand.
Bye. No, that wasn't what I was aiming for.
I love this space already.
So does anyone here have an account with Arium at the moment? Do you know how that works, Dan, with people wanting to take part in the show at the end?
Sorry, I was away. What'd you ask?
I was just asking the group if anyone had an account already.
Okay.
And then I was wondering how that actually works in the end, because I think I got mine because I asked to be a part of the show at the end, and I don't know if you can get an account beforehand if people have to speak to you first or.
Well, no, I think we sent out a list yesterday, but I can I'll just add to the list and people can add their names to it and just claim the links there. I'll put it in the resident Discord chat.
See, and that's I guess the difference between me and Borya. And I think maybe Occulted as well. My first experience with Arium was actually the show, but Borya and Occulted had started to make their own spaces beforehand, so they got their own chance to experiment and to do their own put their own print of their personality on something, and that might be beneficial if you can feel more comfortable being in the space before you take part in the show. It doesn't have to be that way, but it might be a way that you work. So here, Borya is putting in a model. I think I made a second show. It was kind of like it started off as just a little experiment, just a rough model to make a visual representation of what a portal might look like. Like in a very minimalistic form. I modeled it in Blender and animated it, and then I think in the space from before you can just go to those little weird swirly things that look like cartoon portals, and you can appear somewhere else.
By the way, if you look towards the bottom on the left in the palette, you can see that there are two ways of viewing the space. The one on the top is first person controls, which is you know what it is. It's you are walking around and you're experiencing the environment, and you can also have the orbit controls, which is more of what the traditional 3D software building softwares like to use.
Yeah,
But
so
this
it's
is
like God
very
mode, right?
yeah,
Mm.
exactly, perfect.
Okay, Borya, is there anything more you wanted to add, important before we wrap it up, or before we ask questions before we wrap it up?
I guess this is most of what's basic and most important at this time. So if there are any questions, that would be awesome. We can answer them right now, and let's see.
Otherwise, guys, our mentors are all available through Discord, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Walt, Mical. So if you have any kind of question you want to think more about it, you can always them even on the chat, just ping their name or or DM them. So yeah, you are now like a little bit overwhelmed by all this useful information, you can take, of course, your time to ask any.
Yeah, 100%. You can add us in the residency channel. You can DM us directly. We can even do like another group session where like a couple of us or me, Borya and Walt guide a few people through some situations, like make another group thing. That's also pretty cool. Could be interesting. I just wanted to say this before we finish is that one of the things I do regret about being in the residency was that I only took advantage of the mentorship pretty late on, and I only got to have like one conversation with, I think it was Sam, and there is so many different people. I don't know how people are doing it now, but there's so many amazing mentors and so many interesting people to talk to, and that are really willing to talk with you and to share their experience. That I would just, if I could give any advice about what I learned, was that just take advantage of it. Everyone is there for your at your disposal, and the
Yeah,
residency will finish at one point. But yeah, just take as much as you can from it while it's there.
I 100% I agree with that. Yep. Just I think the best things came out from talking to the mentors. So I did also a bit of that. Like, so I started talking with them a bit too late. So kind of regret that.
I absolutely believe uh, the same thing. You said it so well.
Cool. Shall we wrap it up?
Okay.
There's no
Yeah,
questions here?
yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, guys. This was amazing. And of course, this will be all posted on YouTube after we finished. So if you guys want to rewatch it, you are free to go for it. And yeah, thank you so much. Also, thank you, Dan, for showing up today and help us with this session. Thank you so much, for everything, guys. And yeah, have a good one. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Nicholas.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks a lot, guys. Bye. Bye.